Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have an excellent game to share with you from the now finished Top Chess Engine Championship Season 28 Superfinal. This is the 100th and final game between Stockfish on the white end, rated 3724, and Leela Chess 0, rated 3686. Alright, let's see what we have in this final game. A 95 move game. King's Indian defense, and with bishop g5, this is the Averbakh variation. We're not at the start position of this game just yet. We see in this one an opposite sides castles game. Bishop d7 is move 10. This is our start position. Stockfish's first move, spent about 46 minutes, plays here h4. When these two played from this position with colors reversed, Leela's first move, 16 minutes, played king b1. All right, in this game, h4 it is. a4. Forget about a3 while the king is still on c1. That one is going to hurt. So king b1, standard. Queen b8 gets out of a pin and is in a spot to support a break. So the response here, g4, h5. Normally you wouldn't want to play on the side of the board like this and welcome the opening up of the position, the capture, but should there be a capture here, the knight will be the one to recapture. And not so easy to give that knight a kick. It's a nice blockader of h4, and it coordinates well with the e5 pawn, f4 being a hole. So no thanks, we don't see the capture here. Stockfish's approach is a3. I wondered a little bit about this move. Wonder why not maybe develop this knight to h3. It's eventually where it goes in this game, but the timing is not quite right for it here. Why is this the case? Well, what white is prepared to do in response to this capture is insert bishop captures knight, removing a defender of g4 and then recapture on g4. But if you develop the knight to h3 in this position and black takes, playing bishop captures knight can now be met with pawn captures knight. So this knight, for the moment, while this tension remains, stays home. We have a3. Now, careful about playing a move like a3. You're conceding, in fact, two squares. b3, glaring weakness. Add d4 to that list as well. This is a piece that can easily be super disruptive. On the positive side, the king has a comfortable home here on a2. Nice pocket with the a3 b2 construction. Okay, we see the capture on g4. Bishop captures, knight follows. And from here, it's the simple recapture. Now, I tested out a Pac-Man continuation where this pawn goes wild. It's not working. So if black takes here on f3, the approach will be to take the bishop on g7. King takes bishop, knight captures pawn, you're up the piece. If pawn captures bishop, available to white is queen h6, preserving the bishop, threatening a mate, allowing this rook to be captured. How is this playing out exactly? It's a little bit tricky. You do have to defend this mate. After f6, the idea here would not be to collect the pawn and set up a discovered check. Points out queen e8, and black is holding. A winning approach here would be to develop this knight. And I'll point out one of the more aesthetic continuations from here. A winning line. Knight captures e4. Available here is knight g5. Fishing pole idea. If knight takes knight, pawn captures knight. If pawn captures knight, it's not pawn captures pawn in this case. So that one caught me a bit off guard. Pawn takes, knight takes, it says black can hold that. The idea after pawn captures on g5, bishop captures e5. What a slick move. Threatening mate. And the point here is that if the bishop is collected, now you take on g6 with check and enjoy the discovered check and next mate. So what we have in here, or in this game, after the capture on f6, it's the simple recapture. F takes g, king g7, some room for the rook. Follow up g5. Now, I pointed out what Leela's first move was of this game, going with king to b1 rather than Stockfish's h4. This is where there's a significant difference between the two games. The decision with the g and h pawns when Leela had the white pieces, not in this exact position, but the h4 pawn took a step up to h5. How Stockfish is playing it, the arrangement here, we might say, is to restrain Black's unopposed dark square bishop, which really turns out to be a struggling piece in this game. Leela tries to activate it, but it's not quite working out. We have in this game g5, bishop e7. Now that the dust has settled, tension resolved there with the pawns, the knight now develops to h3, which may seem a little bit awkward. Why not go to your favorite square? Well, from f3, what's your next forward move? Nothing brilliant. The idea, this maneuver coming up, knight f2, knight g4, or maybe even in some cases, you can look forward to possibly challenging the knight on c5. Might be cases where the knight could even pivot on b4 and act as a nice blockader, or a piece that interferes with Black's major pieces should the b file open up. b4 square is interesting for a knight. Okay, from here we have knight b3, queen d3, knight d4. There we go. Invasive piece. It is a supporter for this b5 break. Knight f2, b5 sure enough. Knight takes, bishop takes, pawn takes. Queen b6, making some room for the rook. Knight g4, rook on f to b8. Rook h2, some defense of b2. You just need to get the bishop out of the way. This is soon going to be a target. The play from here is rook a5. Now, if queen captures pawn, it says exchange queens, and then go right after this backward pawn. Allow knight captures a3 here. It wouldn't be a problem. King a2, knight has to now move. Wants to go for a bishop for knight exchange, and in the end there's a wild white rook appearing on the 7th rank. This is a big problem, would be a big problem for Black. f7 in particular can easily be coming under heavy fire in more than one way. Rook on f2 in such a line, very good piece. Defender, attacker. All right, we don't see queen captures b5. If knight captures b5, the response is queen h3. Looking forward to a break, some play on the h file, and you could do this without fear of knight captures a3. The queen will be the one to recapture. What we have here is rook a5, queen h3, and knight captures bishop. Now, if knight captures pawn, this is where you'll see the h5 break. And after pawn captures pawn, not queen captures pawn just yet. Knight captures pawn would be there with queen captures pawn next. Checkmate. What it points out here is that after this capture with such a line, you go with king a3, or excuse me, king a1, preventing knight captures a3. And then you're ready to do something dangerous on the h file. Pawn cannot capture the knight here due to a checkmate in 2. All right, In this game, we do not see knight captures pawn. It is knight captures bishop, rook captures knight, rook captures pawn, pop quiz. How would you respond here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, my favorite move of the game, we have b4. Now, let me point out, trying to defend b2 with rook d to d2, this would be losing. Losing to a queen check, newly weakened back rank, and rook b3 is there targeting the queen. Let's say she's saved. Now the king is dead. Cute finish available to black with rook captures a3, king captures rook, queen a1 mate, and pawn captures rook, queen b1 mate. So, can't try and defend like this. We have here b4, and black's response is c5. What's happening in the case of a piece sacrifice on b4? The king would hide in the corner, and the major pieces would cover every queen check. Got them all. No attack here for black. Finally, if black captures here on b3 en passant, well, thank you so much. This pawn will now be used against these three major pieces who stare at it. Nice defender for white. White is going to now have time to crash through and get at the black king. It points out h5. This is winning. Pawn takes, queen takes. There is no queen trap. Knight h6 is there. Coordinate on f7. You're just there first. So black's response here to b4 is c5. D takes c, en passant. d5, the bishop finally sees a square on white side of the board, looking forward to a sacrifice. Queen g3, not so fast. Okay, targeting a newly weakened point, e5. The response here is d4, holding queen captures e5 up. If black takes on b4, there's queen captures e5, and these pieces are going to be enough. The rook also factors in some cases. White's going to be able to get at the king. So, for instance, if the king goes to a light square, there's knight f6 check, and then the king is forced to a dark square. Follow-up, knight d7 is there, either landing a check if it's on f8 or a discovered check there with the queen. In the end, the queen is going to fall. So, one other point. If the king goes to f8 here, there is queen h8 check, followed by this discovered check. And we could take this out to checkmate. Check, check, king c4, knight e5, and king d6, queen e7 are both mate. All right. Black addresses this threat here on e5 with d4. From here, rook c2, ready to roll with the passed pawn. The rook will also act as a bit of a shield for the king. Let's see what this looks like. Leela goes for a piece sacrifice. This is going to liquidate significantly. There we are. There's no follow-up check with the rook on c2. One pair of rooks off, two pair off, and this is a win. So let's see Stockfish's conversion. Priority here, make sure this pawn doesn't kill you. You have to be prepared to sacrifice the knight for the pawn. Leela plays queen c1 here. If queen captures knight, queen captures queen, and the promotion, it points out queen b2 is a win. It's a very good square. Eyeing e5, also cutting out this intersection square. There are no good checks here for black, and this pawn is going to be a winner for white. Also, looking at a different order, in the case of promotion straight away, it points out queen b3, and this is really an ideal post for the queen. Right behind the passed pawn once more on this, and this b3 square. All right, Leela's approach at this stage here after king a2, queen c1, we exchange passed pawns. Let's see the conversion. Eventually, Leela is going to track one of the pawns, h4. But Stockfish is, for the most part, always going to be in a spot to secure these two pawns, the remaining pawns. And when this pawn falls, by that point the knight has improved significantly. It's eventually going to drift towards the king side. Along with the knight drifting towards the king side, the white king is going to play a significant role in converting this. Have a little repetition there. And soon enough, we're going to have the A pawn picked up. Now, this king drifting up towards the king side, eventually what's going to happen, oddly enough, this king is going to use these pawns in a way to help prevent black from executing a successful perpetual check. These pawns interfere with many queen checks. So here we are, drifting towards the king side. There's just no perpetual. Eventually, e5 falling now. f6, knight d7, king inching over, f5 from here. After f5, e5 is played. This pawn is going to fall no matter what by this point. So if king g7, it's immediately kicked. Knight f6 next. I'm not sure what else to even try. Let's say queen f4 here. You improve the king. This pawn's going to go next. So how it's playing out here, f5, e5, all pawns now passed, and white is just going to be there first. Absolutely no perpetual checks here. This is what I'm talking about. Don't have to worry about an f-file check. Got an f pawn here. And this one simplifies, and naturally we go straight to checkmate here, a 95 mover. This was a very nice game, this 100th and final game, and overall a crushing defeat, I gotta say, of Leela Chess 0 in the match. The final tally here is 57.5 to 42.5. Stockfish, needless to say, remains the king. Anyhow, your thoughts with this one, feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.